tight end class, Ryan E, I thought was a good haul. And there's a couple ways I look at it. Obviously, I gave it a B plus, just because, just because to me, the talent level wasn't top of the board. I think Cooper Flanagan is a good football player. He's a top 200 caliber guy, 2 to 250 caliber guy. That kind of is the grade is down. I gave it a B plus. The reason I say is so it's not necessarily a B plus from a talent standpoint. I think he's a good football player that's got some projection to get better once he actually gets more time in a passing offense. But he's not a Michael Mayer. He's not an Eli Raritan, in my opinion, type of high-level player. But here's why I do grade it out well. And B plus is a very good grade, by the way. Not just that they only needed one tight end, but they needed a specific type of tight end. And the type of tight end they needed was a traditional guy that can line up and play attached to the line of scrimmage and be a blocker and be a big boy and play traditional tight end football. And he does that. Yes. He absolutely does that. And so that's what brought the grade back up to me. Because, a B is top 15. I think Cooper Flanagan is a top 10 to 15 type of talent in this tight end class. Just looking at them, just individual players. But what got it to B plus instead of just B is the specific need that Notre Dame had. He fits perfectly. You could say like Deuce Robinson's the best tight end in the country. And I'd have taken Deuce Robinson in a heartbeat. But Deuce Robinson kind of does exactly what you already have on the roster in Eli Raritan and Holden Stace and guys like that, and what you already have in 2024. They needed a different type of tight end in this class, and Cooper Flanagan brings that. And that's why B plus was the grade that I gave him.
I mean, I think Cooper's got such a high floor too, right? Which is needed at this position, especially because he's, like you said, Brian, like he's another kid that comes from a great program at De La Salle, and he's been asked, if there's anything he's been asked to do, it's to run block, right? Like he knows the technical aspects of it. He's a physical kid, 6'5 plus. He's got long arms. He's 240 plus pounds already. I mean, he's going to be a kid that when he gets here in June, he's going to be 250 plus pounds, ready to work and get with Matt Balis and get stronger and get bigger. And I think that he's going to be able to compete from a run blocking perspective early on. I think, and I agree with your assessment. It's funny. I was actually working through what the grades would be for myself before I looked at your articles. And then I saw you had a B plus. I was like, that's exactly what I would have said for tight end. Like I had no quarrel because I agree. He's not an elite level talent. Could he be a Troy Nicholas level pass catcher at some point? Like I wouldn't put that out of the question, right? Like, I think he's got that up because he's a linear football player, right? He's linear. He's got great length. Could he be that type of dude? For sure. I think he can be productive in the passing game in the right role, but the stay power, the floor early on is because my guy gets down and dirty in the run game, man. That's what he does. And that's what you need. And I would not be shocked. And I've said this multiple times the last few weeks, would not be shocked if Cooper Flanagan plays a little bit as a freshman because he does that role very, very well, at least in 3 tight end looks, goal line stuff. Why would you not get a kid like that in the game that if he's able to match it physically, obviously has a lot of experience run blocking. So I think that he has the opportunity to compete for reps early because he does that role that he plays potentially at Notre Dame very, very well early on.
That's important, Ryan. I think that adds to it. There's no doubt is you don't necessarily have a lot of that in this offense. And one of the guys that I didn't think Eli Raritan was going to be a guy that early on could play attached and block, and he did. He put on more weight than I thought. He was really good there. And sometimes wonder if maybe some of that weight led to the knee injury. You know what I mean? Potentially, it's just me talking. It's no medical expert, just me wondering things that pop in my head sometimes. Yep. But he's not going to probably be ready to start the season. And then you got Mitchell Evans, who's a good blocker, but not a great blocker. He kind of plays that role just because of his size. This is a kid that can come in and take that role as a freshman. I really think that. Now, I'd rather he not. I kind of like tight end, unless you're a Michael Mayer, is one of those, to me, I like 5-year positions. You know, I wish Brock Wright would have got a 5th year, for example. Like, could you imagine Brock Wright and Michael Mayer last year as a 1-2 punch of tight end?
Brock Wright's doing a good job as a tight end for Detroit right now, man. His receiving stats in NFL right now are much better than they were in college, which is wild. It's absolutely wild. But
Yep. So I mean, to me, I would have loved to have seen that but he had to play as a freshman. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a key for this one.
Position, just kind of looking through what the emphasis on him early on is going to be. I agree completely because he's a player for me that's, I mean, hey, I don't know if anybody's seen De La Salle extensively, but in that triple option offense, he is going to block to the utmost and consistently. And when you're a red zone type of player, when you're a goal line type of player, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he's also a kid that works off of play action a little bit, and maybe he's a weapon in the red zone at times. So he's got the size, he's got the physicality. I really like how Cooper Flanagan fits into this offense potentially, because if a Eli Raritan does get back at some point in the fall, and then you're matching the skill sets, they're all different, which again, I talked about this in the wide receiver portion of this podcast, but Eli Raritan's skill set is a lot different than Hold Stace's skill set. It's a lot different than Kevin Bowerman's skill set. It's a lot different than Mitchell Evans' skill set. And it's a lot different from Cooper Flanagan's skill set. So adding those skill sets all together, I think, again, this is one of those positions like wide receiver where I want different types in a tight end room, man. Like, I don't want them to all look the same. I don't want them to all play the same. I want guys that can fill specific roles, especially in an offense under Tommy Rees that has done a lot of 12 personnel, has done some 13 personnel. Like, he likes to get multiple tight ends on the field a ton. Could it change next year? It's always possible, but I think the core of what Tommy Rees wants to do, I think that he does want to play some 12 personnel and be able to use multiple tight ends. So I think the more specific skill sets you get in that offense, the more that you can do potentially.